Welcome back to Make It Stick. We're going to jump into Anki to begin with. We got one flashcard. What do we got? What are the 5 sections of chapter 1? What are the 3 subsections of one of the sections? Claims we make in this book. Evidence. Empirical evidence versus theory, lore, and intuition. People misunderstand learning. Early evidence. Dang it. Early evidence. Testing or knowledge not sufficient but necessary. Testing dipstick versus learning tool, the takeaway. Dang it, we're missing one. Illusions of knowing. Everything else is good. So I'll have to see that again tomorrow, unfortunately. All right, what did we learn about yesterday? What did we learn about yesterday? Growth mindset. So I think we started and just about finished the entire section on growth mindset. So this is Carol Dweck in her research. There was also a guy named Paul Tough. So Dweck, this is growth mindset. All right, here we go. Growth mindset, all this research comes down to one simple thing, and that is, how does the individual view abilities and intelligence? Does he think that talent and intelligence is fixed, aka it's just natural, you can't really change it, it's genetics? Or does he think that he's able to improve his intelligence, improve his skills and talents? Really, that's what it comes down to, boils down to. So, yeah, growth mindset. This leads to a lot of benefits. It leads to more persistence. It leads to more curiosity. It leads to setting learning goals. It leads to seeking out challenges and learning from failures and embracing difficulties. All great things for learning. A fixed mindset, however, leads to avoiding challenges. It leads to taking on easy challenges to prove your competence, skills, and intelligence. It leads to trying to avoid failures instead of learning from them, ignoring them, and setting performance goals rather than learning goals. So, praise given to individuals can put them into more or less of a growth mindset. Praising the individual and their work ethic and their effort leads to more of a growth mindset. It leads to trying harder and longer and persisting. Praising one's intelligence, or skills or talents or natural abilities, this takes it out of the individual's control, and so puts them more in a fixed mindset. Paul Tough basically says that an individual's success, especially a child's success, matters, in life. Success in life comes down to exposure to adversities and learning to overcome them oneself. Funny because his name is Tough. There's something there psychologically. Tough and Dweck both emphasize that success is less about natural abilities, less about IQ, and more about persistence, curiosity, and effort. So the growth mindset, to sum it up, is the belief that one can improve their intelligence and natural abilities through effort, strategy, and guidance from others. So I think that's basically everything. right, fixed mindset leads to stunted growth. Growth mindset leads to reaching for one's potential. Grit, persistence, and curiosity. So we didn't finish the entire section. We have one more paragraph, and then we'll be done with the growth mindset section, and then we'll start the next section, which is on deliberate practice. There's a quick little section on deliberate practice. So I'll be back in a bit. All right, another enlightening day of Make It Stick. We're in, so we finished the section on growth mindset. Really, last note being that growth mindset supercharges learning techniques. So this book gives you the raw techniques and strategies, and then mindset gives you like the supercharger amplifier. So I love it. I love both of those books. They're cornerstones of my worldview. So yeah, overall that section's about growth mindset. It's really about one's belief about his abilities, and the growth mindset in general is one of the biggest predictors and indicators and contributors to learning outcomes. All right, deliberate practice. So this is Anders Ericsson's research and book about deliberate practice. So expertise, his argument is expertise is less about genetics, less about natural abilities, and much more about quantity and quality of practice, aka quantity of deliberate practice. So deliberate practice is a specific form of practice. They didn't really explain it too well, I don't think, in this book. I remember watching a video. This was only like a page or two about deliberate practice. I remember watching about a 20-minute video on deliberate practice, and what was that book called? Peak. In my first math class, my teacher actually like had us watch it, or maybe it was optional, but yeah, there was 4 aspects of deliberate practice. I don't remember them all. I believe one of them is focus, maybe goal-oriented, striving to surpass current level, and then something else. But really, expertise can be defined as often, probably the strongest correlator of expertise is thousands of hours of deliberate practice. And deliberate practice is, like I said, very focused, goal-oriented, striving to surpass current level or current performance. So that's the main points of deliberate practice. The average people they studied for peak were the experts had an average of 10,000 hours of practice or 10 years of practice. So, right? A lot. So deliberate practice physically changes the brain. We already know that learning to physically change the brain. So yeah. Deliberate practice often isn't enjoyable. It's often solitary. Many times though, you'll have a coach, they'll have a coach or a teacher to help guide you towards your weaknesses and areas you need to improve. But often the actual work is done in solitary states and of focus. Deliberate practice, this leads to the slow accumulation of knowledge, skills, and mental models. So another layer of paint, another layer of paint. After a while, you have this super complex network of mental models, knowledge, and skills. So the authors, I got to stop looking so much. I got to think about it a little bit deeper. The authors claim that developing expertise in one field doesn't actually lead to any additional benefits in other domains. It's domain specific. And I just don't know how that could possibly be true. I just don't know how. Because what are domains other than what we arbitrarily define as this is where this domain ends and this is where this domain begins? What? Does practicing reggae guitar not improve your ability to play ska guitar? Or, jazz? Or whatever, rock or pop? Really? Really? Don't think so. I mean, but okay, then we'll say playing guitar. Okay. Does playing guitar not give you an advantage if you're an expert in guitar to, pick up another instrument? Aren't you gonna have a lot of knowledge of music that transfers over? Okay, well, we'll say music. Okay. But does that not transfer over to any other domains outside of music? Such as the rhythm helping you in athletics? Or your mind muscle connection and intricate fluidity between brain and output of motor skills is not going to help with any other motor skills? Okay, well, we'll define where does it end? That's what I just don't agree with that. I just don't know how that could possibly be true. How they literally said expertise in one domain does not give you even a head start in another domain. How? How? How could mastering physics not give you any benefit in mastering mathematics? What? What? It's ridiculous. I don't know. Yeah, that I'm not gonna agree with. They've said that twice now in this chapter. In this deliberate practice section as well as in the brain training section. I agree, but I mean, maybe I don't agree, but maybe my idea of how connected things are is a little bit over exaggerated. I don't know. All right, this section was actually pretty dense. We didn't get through that much. That's fine. I'm not trying to speed run anything. So we started the next section called memory. No, memory cues. Yeah, and we talked about mnemonics. Mnemonics are memory tools. And the first example of mnemonic we have is acronym. Okay, and I wrote down what are the 9 muses from Greek mythology or in Greek mythology because I'm curious. I want to look that up because one of them was memory, or the goddess of memory was one of the muses. So I think that's pretty cool. I want to know what the other muses are. I'm not trying to memorize them or anything. I'm just curious. And then on top of that, I went ahead and marked down the 2 other books we found that are referenced in Make It Stick, just because I'm interested in all the books. Because this book's killer. So is Mindset. I think Peak is as well. I think Thinking Fast and Slow are. So those are the books I know that these have referenced. But these 2 new books that they've referenced in this chapter I'm not really familiar with. How Children Succeed. It's all right. I mean, I'm sure there'd be some value in there. I don't know. Not as high leverage as maybe another book, but and the other one is Intelligence and How to Get It. I like that. But it depends on when it was written. We probably have a lot different ideas of intelligence since even this is 10 years old. Over 10 years old. It was probably written almost 15 years ago. Started at least. All right, that's it for today. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I think we're in the last. No. There's the takeaway after this, right? Yep, there's the takeaway. So we're in the second to last section of Make It, or of give you no. Improve your abilities. Increase your abilities. All right. I will talk to you tomorrow. See you.